In this video, we're going to talk about something that is extremely underrated, but that could help you a lot. Hey everyone, Jean-Pierre from Medialpha. I hope you're doing great. Today we're going to talk about patience. And when I talk about patience, is about patience and the power of the compound effect. There's a book that I'm reading in French, but in English it's called The Compound Effect. And in French it's called L'effet cumulé. I really invite you to read this book. It's a simple book, but it's a very, very powerful book, because when you take the time to understand what patience does in the context of putting a little bit of effort every day, it is extremely powerful. And that applies not only for, we do a lot of personal growth, and everybody, when they think about personal growth, they think about, success. And when people talk about success, a lot of people have the first thing that comes in their mind is like those images that people put with like yachts and all of that stuff. But that has nothing to do with that, right? Success is all about your goals. It's about your objective and your capacity to achieve them. And it doesn't have also to be material. It could be anything that you're looking for, right? But if you talk to somebody with experience, right? If you talk with somebody that has been successful in whatever format that they decided, they will always come back to you and tell you that patience is key. And what I mean by that is, let's take an example, right? You have a high blood sugar and you want to bring it down. What do you need to do? You need to change your diet, probably, right? That could be one of the options. It might not be. There might be other things that bring your sugar high, but let's say it was related to diet, right? Or let's say you have a lot of excess weight and you want to reduce that. Or let's say you have a financial problem and you want to start making a lot more income. Or let's say you have a certain amount of goals that you want to achieve, and you put the bar very, very high, right? All those things are good. You have goals, perfect. But at the same time, if you haven't achieved that goal and it's the first time that you will achieve the goal, there might be a lot of things that you'll have to learn along the way, which could be very demotivating, because when you fail, some people fail and they don't want to get up, or they just give up or whatever. Or you'll have the patience to say, you know what, this is my goal. I'll take the time to figure it out. I'm going to learn and I'm going to get there. That's one way that you need to be patient, is to be patient enough to learn from your mistake to get there. The other thing about being patient is understanding that if you didn't achieve the goal on the date that you set, to reset the date so that you could achieve that goal. But the third thing is also to be constant on making little efforts every day. What I mean by that is, if let's say now it's going to be Christmas, everybody wants to be dressing nicely and everything else. Some people might say, you know what, I want to lose 70 pounds in 3 weeks, and I'm going to make that super diet that I saw online. And this guy was making a special at $99.99. If I buy it today, and I bought it, right? So if you do that, well, there's a chance that you're probably going to try to follow that for 2 weeks, but it won't be long lasting, because it's too intense for a short period of time. And it will not necessarily work. And if it does, perfect, but it doesn't mean that it's a long-lasting effect. Whereas if you use patience and you do a little bit of effort every day, you take the time to realize, okay, what did I eat today? Maybe I could cut some calories here and there. Maybe I could switch my mayo for mustard when I eat something on my, fries or whatever it is, right? I'm not saying that fries are great, but my point is that the switch from mayo to mustard is like higher calorie to lower calorie, right? That was probably the point. Maybe the example was not great, but you see the idea of where could I cut the calories? And cutting calories doesn't mean you're going to go from like 2,000 calories, which is normal, to like 1,000, so that you can cut 1,000 calories. And just about 150 calories a day, which is not so much, but over time, compound effect, it will do something, right? It's the same thing with your weights. If you say, okay, tomorrow I want to be buffed, I want to start having like abs and everything else, I'm just going to train for 6 days, 7 days, like 20 hours a day, and it's going to get done. No, that's not the way it works. You're probably going to get injured doing that and have a lot of other health issues. But if you tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to do a little bit every day. I'm going to start with 10 minutes, build my cardio, build some resistance, build some muscles, do some stretching. And over time, I'm going to start adding a little bit more to my routine. Maybe eventually, as you get more comfortable, or maybe even early, you'll have the sense of getting a trainer. There's different things like that that you can implement in your life, that over time, you'll see a huge difference. The difference between scenario A, where you try to rush into it, and scenario B, that you do it gradually, right? And is because one, you actually create milestones or habits that eventually becomes part of your lifestyle. And because they're part of your lifestyle, they become second nature. And because they're second nature, then it's long-lasting effect. And the long-lasting effect of a cumulative, second nature, or new quote-unquote second nature, good habits will have a ripple effect over long years for you. And then people say, well, what happened to you? I used to see a picture of you 5 years ago. And then there's a difference, right? Not like 2 weeks, but 5 years ago. And then you see the difference, and you probably don't even know what was the difference. Like recently, I went to see a nurse that works for us. He works in Rivière Rouge, and I haven't seen him in a bit. And he came down to Montreal, and I had to come and see him. And later on, he texted me, say, hey, JP, you lost weight. And I'm like, hey, thank you, right? I know I took, the time to check a little bit about what I ate, do a little bit of exercise this morning, nothing crazy. But he noticed that I didn't, because he has a before and after picture of maybe like a year or something from him being away working abroad and not being in town. And when he's in town, he has a before and after picture. But probably if he saw me 2 weeks after, he wouldn't see anything. So that's the point with patient. Same thing with our business, right? When Medialpha started, like there's nothing, like nobody knew about Medialpha, right? We're starting, we put all kinds of ads for people to know us, but people don't get to trust something that quickly if they don't know you, right? It's always relationship, like organic. When people refer their friends to come and use the Medialpha service, there's a trust that's already established. People appreciate that. People know that if my friend referred Medialpha to me, it must be a good company. It must be wanting to take care of me and wanting to be nice and having good professionals, be on time, and so on and so forth. And they're humans. If there's a mistake, they're going to own it and they're going to figure out the solution. And because we're just going to make sure it works. And this is how it is, right? So organic growth, which is what you call that in the business world, where people refer people, word of mouth and everything else, is always long-term compared to an ad. But it's always way more powerful compared to an ad. The same thing with brand. What's a brand? Like, I'm just doing a business segment, but a brand takes time to build. Like Coca-Cola, first day, nobody knew about it. Today, Coca-Cola, everybody knows about it. McDonald's, the same thing. Starbucks, the same thing. A brand is powerful. Why? Because it was organic growth. It's not because the ad was everywhere that the brand was that great. People associated the product to something, and then people believed in it, and then they have a sense of what it is and a relationship with it. Same thing with anything. It takes time if you want to have it long-lasting. Now, in the context of your business and your financial goals, same thing. Like if you go from $0 to $3 million in 2 weeks, I'll be honest with you, I had that mistake. I had a business that I started a long time ago, and I went from 0 to having a good amount of income for that time, right? And it went so fast that I thought that it was so easy that I just started cooling off, right? Ignorance. That was not cool. Everything collapsed because I started slowing down, because I'm like, oh, this is so easy. I'm going to start relaxing, talking, take the money, do things. You see, this is impatience in a way, and also lack of understanding and lack of quote unquote wisdom of knowing what to do with what you have and be grateful about it so that you could reinvest and do your other things. On the contrary, you're like, oh, I made it. I'm there. It went so fast. It must be so easy to do that multiple times. Wrong, right? Because I didn't even have the wisdom to take care of what I had. So I lost it, right? And then you rebuild again for something else. My point is that whatever you do, even if you have a fast success very fast, you need to have patience, because if you have too fast of a success, that means there's probably some step that you skipped. And over time, it's going to bring you back to the steps that you missed so that you can go for it. And if when you get back, you lose your patience, you'll be like, okay, you know what? It's not for me. The reality is it's not for you. Is that you didn't have the patience to learn what you need to learn so that next time you don't do it again and you don't fall there, right? I don't know if it will make sense to some people, but for anybody that looks at graphs for stock market or whatever, when you have a stock that goes from here and it skyrockets in 2 seconds, there's a statement that says fills the gap, meaning that if the stock goes here and in 2 seconds it goes there, the graph will look as if there was a space in between where the graph didn't go, because they're like lines. So the first line will be here, the first line will be there, and there's a gap in the middle. There's a thing that says in graphs, it's fill the gap. It means that the stock will go back down to fill the gap that it skipped. So my point in this is that when you see this, it's probably not a good time to buy sometimes. You probably want to wait for it to go down, and then you're going to want to buy it if you want to buy it. I'm not saying the financial advice. I'm just saying to fill the gap. It's the same thing with anything. If you go up too fast, you might going to fall down sometimes. And then if you don't have the patience to go back up, then you're going to stop. So my point in all this is have patience. Have patience to learn, have patience to small increments that will over time have a compound effect, and be like the snowball. When you have an avalanche, it starts small but gets big. Anything that gets big started small. You have to have the patience to get there. Now, if you put extra effort more than everybody else, you'll get there faster, right? But again, it takes time regardless if you want to make something long-lasting and successful. So on this note, I wish that you'll have the patience for your health, right? Whether it be for your eating habits or for your training habits, for your mental habits, and also for your relationships, right? Any relationship that you want to build takes time, right? You have to have the patience to take time because there's ups and downs. You have to have the patience with the people to keep it. So I could go on and on, as you can see. So I'm going to stop that video right now, but if it makes sense with you, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Or give me comments if you think about, things to talk about, suggestion, or things that make sense. If you have any question, let us know. We'll be very happy. So on this note, I wish you a very good day. Ciao.